Hey guys, this is part 1 of chapter 5 of Saving Destiny. I also have part 2 of chapter 5 of Saving Destiny that you can find on my YouTube channel. But I had to do it in 2 parts because I'm really not well versed in YouTube. I have a whole lot of trouble with it, and this is my way of doing it. I think I'm finally starting to figure things out. Hopefully it'll be a little less rocky from now on, but here goes. We last left Destiny. She was waiting for her family meeting. She's completely convinced it's a discharge meeting. And Dr. Aiden just came out of the office. She saw her parents. She gave them a big hug. And that's where this chapter picks up. Part 1, Chapter 5. I nodded at Dr. Aiden after he told me that he would talk to my parents first in the family meeting and then come get me. This happened in all of the discharge meetings on child and adolescent floors. Then I retreated to my spot on the blue plastic couch where I hugged Blinky and buried my face in her wool, breathing in her special smell that always made me feel calmer. Everything about her always made me feel calmer. After what seemed like hours, but according to my watch, was only 20 minutes, Dr. Aiden came out of the office to call me in. The room felt heavy and charged as I entered with Blinky safely tucked under my arm. "Hey, Destiny," Wendy the social worker greeted me. She was smiling, but her smile was tense. My dad's eyes were moist from tears. My mom had several tears meandering down her face. I instantly knew that this wasn't going to be just another discharge meeting. Suddenly, I had difficulty swallowing. "Can I go home now?" I managed to choke out. "Destiny," Dr. Aiden began. I didn't like the way he'd said my name. It was weighted too heavily. I squeezed my fists together, so tight my nails bit into my palms. "This has been your 4th psychiatric hospitalization this year," Dr. Aiden told me, "and you have been bouncing in and out of psychiatric hospitals for the last 6 years. It seems like you need more intensive help than just outpatient therapy. Your parents and Wendy and I believe that you deserve a better quality of life. Plus, your parents are living in a state of constant panic over what you might do next when you're home. I can never relax. I'm always worried about what you're going to do. We can't live like that. It's too much stress on everyone," my dad explained. "We love you so much, and we just want what's best for you," my mom added. I didn't like the way this was going. The heaviness from the room had invaded my gut. I felt so weighed down that I was scared I would sink through the floor. "What are you guys trying to say?" I finally asked. "They're trying to explain to you that we have decided that you need to be in a residential treatment facility to get more intense and long-term help," Wendy explained to me. Suddenly, I wished that I had sunk through the floor. "Residential?" I choked out. Everyone in the room nodded. I couldn't swallow. I was choking on my own spit. I had been desperately trying to avoid being sent to residential for years. I didn't want these last 5 minutes to be real. I wanted to wake up and have my real family meeting and have it be a discharge meeting. Blinking several times, I squeezed my eyes open and shut to see if the meeting would dissolve away, to see if I could wake up, but I didn't. Now there were tears in my eyes. "Please, I'll be so well behaved if I go home. I'll do everything perfectly. Please, can I just have one more chance?" I begged desperately. Honey, we can't take you home. It's not a punishment. We just need you to get more help, my mom tried to explain to me. Before I could stop them, I could hear sobs pouring out of me. I just want to go home, I cried. My dad rubbed my back. I know, he told me. The tears that had been welling up in his eyes were now sliding down his cheeks. I had never seen my dad cry before. Seeing my dad cry like that made something inside me break open. My tears became Niagara Falls as they gushed down my face with so much power, while guttural noises ripped their way out of my throat that was already sore from the NJ tube they had shoved down it. I had just made my dad cry. My parents were rejecting me. I was going to have to spend a significant amount of time in a strange place where I knew they would have a lot of rules that I wouldn't be able to follow. I have to go home. I can't go to residential, I sobbed. This was my worst nightmare coming true, and I couldn't get myself to accept it. I felt like my parents were abandoning me. It might not be that bad, my dad tried to tell me. You can make a bunch of new friends. It will be like having a sleepover party every night. Plus, they will do fun activities with you, like movie night and outings to the mall or the park or mini golf. After I finally was able to gather up the scattered fragments of myself, I asked a question for which I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the answer. How long will I have to stay there? I asked. Would it be longer than a month? I was hoping that maybe it wasn't the same 12 to 18-month programs of residentials that I'd read about on the reports by Annette from the Department of Mental Health that I'd found lying around my mom's office a couple months earlier. All the adults in the room exchanged glances. I felt like I was choking again. The programs we're looking at are at least 12 months long, Wendy told me. I swallowed hard and started crying again. 12 months, a whole entire year of my life that I was about to lose because I couldn't stay in control of my behavior. I felt like I'd failed myself, and if only I'd worked harder, this would never have happened. I was going to have to spend at least a whole year there. I had heard horror stories about residential from other kids in the hospital. They spoke of strict, unforgiving, and uncaring staff, arbitrary rules upon rules, and serious consequences for minor infractions. The worst part, in my mind, was having to be away from my parents, who were my biggest supporters. Where is the residential? I asked. We're looking at a couple of them. We don't know which you'll be going to. You're just on the waiting list, Wendy told me. You'll stay here until a bed at residential becomes available. We'll continue to monitor you and adjust your medications in the meantime. We're working really closely with pediatric GI doctors and your pediatrician, and once you stabilize a little more, they would like to take you back to the medical floor to the pediatric procedures unit to place a more permanent type of feeding tube to replace your NJ tube that you have in you now. It's a special tube that they will put in through your abdominal wall. One part of your tube will go to your stomach, and we'll hook it up to a drainage bag to allow you to sip on clear liquids and immediately drain them back out of your stomach so that they don't make you throw up or get bowel obstructions. It will also cut down on the bloating and pain you've been experiencing. The other part of that tube will end in the middle of your small intestine, where your NJ tube ends, and we can feed you through it and put your crushed up meds through it. Hopefully, we can get you back to a healthier weight, working really closely with the medical team, Dr. Aiden explained to me. How long do you think I'll be here for? I asked. not even really caring anymore about needing to go to pediatric procedures and having a painful surgery where they would make a hole deep inside me and shove tubes through it. I don't know yet, Dr. Aiden told me. But if you had to guess, I persisted. I wanted solid numbers to grab onto and check off. It could be as little as a month or two, or it could be months. It just depends when a bed becomes available somewhere. Dr. Aiden's tone was apologetic. Sobs were pouring out of me again. My world had just dissolved through my fingers. Our fears of my becoming a career mental patient were coming true. That's the end of part 1 of chapter 5 of Saving Destiny. If you look on my YouTube channel, you'll find part 2 of chapter 5 of Saving Destiny. I do recommend you go there next and check out that video before I post chapter 6 of Saving Destiny. I think that I finally figured out how to do this, so hopefully it will be a less painful process in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Love all you guys so much. Hope to see you back here watching my videos soon.